Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Denidra Fontanet, speech language pathologist with Spirit Speech Consulting. Just wanted to go live here and share something that I have seen in my Instagram platform that really has gotten a lot of traction. So then that's why I titled this video, "You Got Questions, I've Got Answers," because a lot of questions came from this Instagram post. So before I even get into that, I want to share something very exciting that I will be doing in about a week and a couple of days on October 25th of this month, October 25th, Tuesday. And October 27th, I will be hosting a live webinar to answer a lot of your questions. I received a lot of feedback from parents wanting more solutions after I opened my signature program, my parenting coaching program called Unplugged to Connect. And from that program, it's already started, and I'll be having another one opening in January of 2023. But I had a lot of parents who were not able to join that and still had a lot of questions, wanted some solutions, wanted some answers. And so I developed this webinar to provide a service to meet some of those needs. I made it very, very affordable so that I could possibly get other parents that weren't able to afford the coaching program to be able to take advantage of some coaching and training under this format. So I wanted to introduce that to my YouTube family and roll that out to you guys so that you know too that it's going to be available. But I also wanted to jump on here. I haven't done a YouTube live before, so I wanted to give an opportunity for my YouTube family to ask questions if they wanted to hop on live and maybe be able to have access to me live that way. So while people are jumping on and coming on, I am going to just go ahead and jump into this Instagram post that I posted earlier this week that's gotten a lot of traction. And the post was about the brain being 80% developed by the age of 3. Yes, you heard me say that right. By the age of 3, your little 3-year-old has 80%, their brain is 80% the size of an adult brain. So imagine that. Isn't that something? So because of that, I've mentioned that to some of my parents, even some of my parents in my coaching program, and they were just astonished. It really opened their eyes a lot more to what they could do to take advantage of this very, very critical time of brain development and language growth. And even one mom said that she realize she's going to now make different efforts to monitor what her child is watching, what her child is doing, because she realizes that she has a very, very small window of opportunity to really lay this foundation and lay the framework for her child's brain, which is essentially everything, right? We need our brain for everything. And so really at this critical age of birth to 5 is the time where your child is developing how they are going to be thinking, how they will be responding, their imagination and their problem solving skills are all being laid right now. And so it just really helped parents to look at development a little bit differently, actually, and to be able to be a little more critical in what they provide their children access to. So, along with this post, I did list three very simple things that you can do that are really not earth shattering, but they're very elusive. They're things that kind of get away from us a little bit because we're so busy, we're distracted, and then quite honestly, we don't really realize the impact and how powerful these very small, simple 3 things really are. They pack a very powerful punch in language development, brain development, and growth. So I'm just going to jump on into them and share them with you guys. So the first thing is talking to your child. So, like I said, again, not earth shattering, right? But why is that something that we have to be mindful of? Because we really are not intentional with talking. We just kind of talk as we go along our day. We just talk as a means of communication for what we need to do or what we need to communicate for that moment. And we're not really intentional on talking even more. And that's the thing that you can do when you are having one concerns with your child having language development and language growth. I get parents all the time that say their child is 2 years old and they're not talking, or maybe they have an autistic child and they want to know what they can do to expand their utterances. So, being intentional and talking to your child throughout the day can really make a difference. You can point out things that you see in your environment that just along your day, but maybe pointing it out and showing your child and be providing a model to your child for different words that can really expand the vocabulary. So let's say you're in the car and you're just driving to the grocery store. You might not really be thinking a whole lot. You might be listening to the music. You might be on the phone. You might be thinking of other thoughts. I know when I'm in my car, that is my time to think because when I'm at home, I'm doing so many other things. So when I'm driving, that's when I get a lot of thinking done. But you may be doing those different things and not really realizing that this is a great opportunity to talk and be intentional with your child. So you can point out things in the road. You can point out things as you go along to your destination. Like there's the stoplight. Oh, look, there's a dog. You think that's a big dog or a small dog? Is he a mean dog or is he a friendly dog? Or you might see someone riding their bike. Oh, I see a boy riding what do you think he's riding? What is that called? That's a bicycle. That's a bike. Different things like that. As you go along and you see things in your environment, just pointing things out and being a little bit more intentional. It may feel kind of weird to you, but again, you're an adult. So you know these things. You know what these words are. You know what these things mean. And so a lot of times as adults, we can take for granted the very simple things that can be done to really help our child. And that's one, is just being very intentional and pointing things out along your day in your environment. I call it language bombardment. You want to bombard your child with a lot of language, with a lot of skills, with a lot of words and vocabulary. You want to provide that model of those different words. And so they're hearing it all the time. You can do that too at the dinner table. When you are making dinner and making your child's plate, you can let them know, I'm putting green beans on your plate. Here are some mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. Do you like mashed potatoes? Do you want gravy on your mashed potatoes? Even when you're sitting down, you can say, okay, I want you to eat 3 green beans. How many? 1, 2, 3. 3 green beans. Just being intentional that way, your child is hearing more language, their child is hearing more words. So that is something that can really be helpful. The other thing is reading. And so, again, I say again, not very earth shattering, right? Something that seems very simple, but again, it's very elusive. It's hard to actually grab some time and sit down and read. But once we know how powerful of a tool it is for language and brain growth, then we make time for it, just like we make time for anything else in our lives that's very, very important. So just setting some time to read every day, I would say 10 to 15 minutes every day really makes a difference. Why? Because this is an opportunity for you to engage with your child and connect with your child. And we all know that connections, building that very strong bond and connection is so important for everything. It lays the foundation for learning, for language growth, for socialization, for your child to feel secure, safe, confident. When they feel connected to you, there's just a host of benefits from that. So by reading, you are forging that connection. You are helping your child to feel connected and engaged with you. And then you get 2 for 1. You can actually build language skills by pointing things out that you see in the book. And I tell my parents to really get involved in what I call interactive reading. So that is just allowing the story to come alive, not just reading pages, not just reading words on a page, but actually allowing the story to come alive. So you're asking questions about the story, you're pointing things out in the story. So, for example, Johnny may have a red ball. Look, Here's a red ball. You have a ball that looks like that, but your ball is blue. What color is Johnny's ball? Because you just said red a minute ago. But just asking those kind of questions really helps your child to become engaged with the story. And then also, you're building language. You are using words, you're using vocabulary. So it really is a very helpful tool. And if you're just jumping on, I'm just sharing a very uh, a post on Instagram that I posted earlier this week that's gotten a lot of traction because I was sharing how the brain is 80% developed at the age of 3. And a lot of my parents started chiming on Instagram, asking me questions. They didn't realize that. They didn't realize how fast the brain grows. And because of that, they're starting to realize really what a small window we have in laying that brain foundation. And so in that post, I was discussing 3 very simple things that you can do to take advantage of this very critical time of brain growth and development. And the first one was talking, just something very, very simple, not earth shattering, but we really don't really think about being intentionally talking a lot more in our day. So by doing so, you're building language skills. You're helping your child to hear a model of different words, and you're helping them to expand their utterances. And then the other one that I was just talking about was reading, and how reading is very, very powerful. And we don't realize just the power that we can have through reading, but not just reading, just page by page, but really interacting and engaging your child in the story, asking questions about the story, pointing out things in the story, relating things in the story in your environment. That is how you interact and become more engaging with reading. And so also wanted to let you know that I will be having a webinar before I get to the third point. I will be having a webinar very soon, August 25th and August 27th. 2 days to give you an opportunity to actually participate live. Um, and the reason for that is because I received so much feedback from parents wanting a little bit more, wanting some other solutions, wanting some opportunity to learn and be trained. I opened up my parent coaching program back in September and got a lot of people enrolled in that, but I had some parents that were not able to make it, but still reached out and wanted some help and wanted some solutions. So I created this actually for you guys, this webinar, and I made it very, very affordable. It's only $97 for the webinar, and you'll get a workbook. You'll also get a bonus video after the webinar just to provide coaching and further implementation of what's being learned. So, but I'll put the link in there so you can have more information about that. But again, getting back to my third point. So the third point on very simple ways that you can build language development is to play, right? Play, again, something not earth shattering, but play is a child's native language, and it's how they learn. It's before they even talk, before they even eat, before they do anything, before they learn how to talk, they are playing. When you bring your child home from the hospital after you just delivered, they're looking around, they're moving their feet, they're moving their hands, they're playing. When they're laying on their stomach before they can even lift their head, they're looking around and they're smiling at you. They are kicking their feet. That's playing. When they're cooing and awing and doing all these other sounds, that's what we call vocal play or verbal play. And they are playing around with different sounds. So play is really their native language, and it's a way that they learn language even throughout adulthood, I should even say, because us as adults, we have to play too. I know I love to play and go on vacations. So play is still something that we have to do even all through adulthood. So playing is a way you can build language development. But how do you do that? You have to be very intentional about that as well. There's something that's called sensory play. And I have a video here on my channel that talks about sensory play and messy play. And I'm a big proponent of play because I know how powerful it is. It allows a child to be creative. It allows a child to imagine. It allows the child to kind of think outside of the box and do things that are not structured. So through playing, they can create whatever they want. They can imagine whatever they want. They can be whatever they want. Like a box, I remember my children for Christmas, I would get them these toys and things that they want. And I spent all this money on these toys, and then they would play with the box, you know? And I would just be like, why do you want to play with the box? You got this toy here. But because the box can be anything. The box can be a boat. The box can be a car. The box can be a spaceship. The box can be a fort. The box can be anything. And that is really how you build language, is allowing the child to have language rich opportunities to create, to imagine, to participate, to experience. And you just don't get that with screens. Screens just don't offer that same opportunity to learn that way. And that's how the brain is actually built. It's built on experiences and interaction. And so those are the three things that I spoke about in that post on Instagram. And I got a lot of parents asking questions. I got a lot of parents interacting with that post, and just saying that they didn't really realize that the brain grows that fast. You don't realize a little bitty 3-year-old has almost the size of an adult brain. And so I thought that I wanted to jump on here on YouTube and just share that with you guys so that you too can be in on the conversation. Ask me any questions. It's my first time actually doing a YouTube live, so still trying to figure out how this works. But if there's any questions, you can always put it in the chat later, or send me a comment later and let me know. But it's I do respond and get back with you guys too. But it was just really fascinating. And I just love sharing this knowledge with my parents, letting them know things that they probably didn't think about, and letting them know the why behind limiting screen use. It's not just because, oh, it's bad for them and you don't really know why. Well, the reason why it's bad for them is because in an excessive use, the brain is developing very, very rapidly. And we don't want to lose those opportunities for really developing a strong, healthy, connected brain where the child has a chance to learn and grow, and their thinking skills are developed, and just so much that comes from that. But at the webinar, I will be discussing a lot more about this, and you can register now for the webinar. Very excited to present this, guys, to present it to you, because I really created it for you because of all the requests to have some other solutions on how to find balance, how to set digital boundaries, how can I really build language development in my child? My child has autism. What are some things that I can do? And then also present parenting techniques, because connected parenting is really the bedrock for everything, for your child's security, for your child's safety, for your child feeling connected and bonded with you. It helps with discipline when you're having to set boundaries and having to discipline your child. If you're more connected, then discipline goes a lot better. It goes a lot easier. And needless to say, language development as well. When you are more connected, children do better in school. They make better grades. They have better, uh, they feel better equipped to come to their parents for help. Sorry about that. I was forgetting the word I was trying to say. But because of connectedness, you get a lot of benefits from that. And I'll be talking about that in the webinar as well, how you can form deeper, stronger connections, how you can employ present parenting techniques. So a lot that I'll be sharing in that webinar, and it will be a Q&A. I'll also have a Q&A. Oh, I have a question here. What do you think about Montessori toys? Do they help development? Yes, I love the whole Montessori approach, because the Montessori approach really helps us to work with the child and being child-centered. So, and that is so important, following your child's lead, letting them know, letting them have the reign to what comes up, they go and do, and you following their lead. And it's just, and having some structure definitely has its place, and you need to do a little bit of both. But Montessori toys usually utilize a lot of sensory theories and practices. And so you want to have, and what I mean by sensory, if you don't know, that is your senses, your five senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. You want to create experiences and opportunities around these senses, because that's what engages the brain. That's how a child learns. So you want to be able to provide things that they can touch, like different textures: macaroni, beans, rice. You can put it in things and they can touch it and they can make things with it. Different textures, feathers, gravel, those type of things. And then for their engaging the sense of sight, you want to have toys that light up, toys that and then you don't want, and let me just say something about that lighting up, because sometimes lights can be a little overstimulating. So you don't want to get lights that are flashing a whole lot. You don't want to do that. But toys that do have some lights to it, toys that have sound, that's also good. Toys that actually, what's even better is if it has a cause and effect component. So the child will get a sound by pushing this button, or when they do this, then something else happens. That interactive component is also very good. So Montessori toys are, I do endorse those. Those are really good and very helpful in the development of the brain and language development. So, but again, I don't know if you heard about the webinar. I am going to be having a webinar. I don't know if I put the link in it right now, but after I close this video out, I'll put the link on it in the description box. You can also go to my website at spiritspeech.com. That's spiritspeech.com, and you can register there. The link is there. But I will be going into more detail about the building language skills and what you can do, different tips, different tricks. But most importantly, educating you as a parent, giving you the tools and the resources so that you can make better decisions. I have parents all the time asking me, especially since I talk a lot about screen time and limiting screen time and making sure that you know what shows are good and what shows are not. I get a lot of parents asking me, well, what about this show? What about that show? What about, is this show good? Should I let my child watch this show? And I don't really like to get into what's good and what's not. I don't like to get into naming the shows particularly, because actually if I endorse something, I want to spend time actually vetting it out, researching it. And that takes a lot of time. There's a ton of shows out there. So, and that's really that's not really what I'm interested in as much as equipping you with the knowledge, the training, and the tools so you can make that decision for yourself. So, if we look at like weight loss, the best results you get from a weight loss program is when you are educated on making the decisions for yourself, not somebody telling you to do this and not do that, or eat this or not eat that. When you are engaged in your own knowledge, that's power. You are empowered then to make the best decisions on what you eat. So I have that same mindset when it comes to teaching my parents, whatever it is. I don't like to get into, don't watch this show, watch this children's show, or don't watch this YouTube show, watch this YouTube show. I don't really want to get into that, because my time is better spent educating you guys on what you can do to make that decision for yourself and what works best for you as the parent. So anyway, hope you will join the webinar and you'll get more tools, you'll get more resources and more tricks on that. But again, I'm going to close out with the just recapping that Instagram post. So the Instagram post, the whole reason why I'm doing this live is just to have you guys be a part of the conversation as well. I posted a post on Instagram earlier this week that got a lot of buzz, a lot of traction, and it was about the child's brain being 80% developed by the age of 3, and really helping parents to see what a critical time this is in development, and giving them some tools that they can do to really take advantage of that time. And so 3 very, very simple things are talking more to your child, being very intentional on talking to your child, reading to your child, and engaging while you're reading, not just reading the words on the page, and then also playing with your child in very intentional ways, creating spaces in your home for play to take place, and helping your child to be independent in their play, so that you as the parent don't have to be with them for every little thing that they do, every second that they are playing, that they're independent, that they know this is the craft table or this is the dress up corner or whatever you may set up in your home or in their room. And so I'll be talking a little bit more on a specific plan on how to do that at the webinar. You will walk away with some tips and practical things to do in your parenting right now, not just theory, not just education, not just knowledge, but things that you will implement right now. So thanks so much for your time chiming in. Thanks for the question, God to me. Appreciate that. If you watching the replay, feel free to ask me any questions. I love engaging with you guys and answering your questions. I do get back with every single person. So hope to be talking to you soon and hope to see you at the webinar. Bye.